Welcome to the Power Within podcast with Raquel, a master class in mastery of self. Simply put, this is where you get your life. Hey there, this is Raquel of inpowered.com, where the power within you is revealed. Welcome back to another episode of The Power Within. I thank you so much for being here with me. And listen, the more of you that sign up, that subscribe and follow me, it truly is really important because you have no idea how difficult it is for me to be in this room to record this podcast without you physically being here with me. I am such the type of person that I get my energy from being around other people. I love people. You know, someone once told me God's business is people. So I'm in God's business full time, and I love it. I love what I get to do. And so I have to truly go to the list of followers and look to see how many people are following. And I love seeing the emblems that you have there and the pictures, because it gives me a mental picture of you and to hold a space for you as I do this work. So again, thank you. Please continue to share with others. Thank you to those of you who didn't even know who I was, who stepped out on a leap of faith because somebody else said you should listen to this podcast. Thank you to those of you who just stumbled upon me some kind of way. You don't even know how you got there, but I believe someone does. I truly want to thank you. And so today, let's go ahead and get into the difference between counseling and coaching. So counseling for me is founded in the renewing of the mind. It's a restoration of hope. It's a process of healing through a relationship that I really consider to be sacred. And I don't mean sacred as in idolizing, but it is for me a biblical process. You can see counseling all through the Bible. You see that people who were of royal descent always sought out counseling. Why? Because they were seeking out wisdom for their journey. And so it is very important that we understand that we are royalty. We are royalty. And so we can access this process as well to take us to our next level of well-being. You're royalty. You didn't know that until you got on to this podcast today, huh? Yes, of course you knew you were royalty. But it's one of the things that I share with my clients when they come into my office. I want them to know that they are royalty. I want them to know that the reason that all of the decor in my office is purple is for that reason, because purple symbolizes royalty, and it also has a calming effect on the mood. And so these are the reasons that we do that, because everything around us matters. But for those of you who love professional or legitimate definitions, that was my definition. Let me give you the definition according to the American Counseling Association. The agreed upon definition of counseling is: professional counseling is a professional relationship that empowers diverse individuals, families, and groups to accomplish mental health, wellness, education, and career goals. Counselors work with clients on strategies to overcome obstacles and personal challenges that they are facing. Another way of looking at it is that counselors or therapists walk with you from the past mental focus to the present. They even step into the future sometimes and walk with you backwards. They help you reel it back into present focus, because when you come into the counseling relationship, you come in with a lot of baggage from the past. And that baggage is what's hindering you from going forward. It's what has you stuck. But then there's others who may have come in with some anxiety about the future. And that anxiety about the future keeps them in a high alert, or a state of high alert, as I like to call it. And it allows them not to be able also to focus on the present. So they're stuck in the future. So some people are stuck in the past, some people are stuck in the future. And my goal as your therapist would be to help you gain present focus to resolve some obstacles that you may have in your way. And I love doing that. Okay. And so a loving therapist is going to help you do that. They're going to be able to hold a space for you. So let's talk about what foundational skills a licensed counselor should possess. So as a licensed counselor, I should be basically, now this is basically, guys, able to attend to you. That really means that I should be able to be with you, to be fully present with you. Listen, if I'm all the way in the past and all the way in the future, and I'm not even present for myself, how in the world can I do that for you? So it's really important that I be able to attend to you and to be present with you. The second thing is I should be able to listen to you. This means that beyond the skill of listening, I should get you. I should understand you. I should not just listen, but I should hear what you are saying and be able to share that with you. I'm your sounding board. That's what I am to you. Another thing is I should be able to have empathy. And you know, Brene Brown is the girl who talks about empathy, and she talks about it well. So I should be able to empathize with you to the point that I can relate to you, but not put myself down in the hole with you and I can't pull myself out. Because if I get down in the hole with you, how can I help pull you out of a dark hole, a dark place? And sometimes if you're too far in the past in your thinking, or too far in the future in your thinking, you're in this hole, you're in this pit, and it's really dark there, and you need some help to get out. So I can't get down in there with you. I have to be able to manage my emotions and give the empathy that is required for you at that moment. Another thing that I should be able to do as a great therapist is probe and question you. And usually we do this, most therapists do this with open-ended questions. We ask not a lot of open-ended questions, but there's some questioning. And sometimes in the process, you'll ask your own questions. And we help you to see, did you even hear yourself just now? You asked yourself a question. What's the answer? And so it's a great process that both people, if they're both fully present, you get the most out of. But generally, when you first come to therapy, you're not that present. You had some awareness that you at least need to be there. And guess what? You were courageous enough to step into the room. So kudos to you. And for those of you who are thinking about it, kudos to you for just listening to the podcast and doing your due diligence to find out more. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. So we as therapists want to ask good questions, not too many. We don't want you to feel like you're being bombarded or critiqued or interrogated, but it's just enough questions to help you increase your awareness. Another basic skill therapists should have is summarizing. And it's really great when someone else can sound back to you what they just heard you say with a level of accuracy. That's when it's really profound. And it helps you to move forward from the stuck place. Lastly, basic communication skills. Basic communication skills and an ability to build rapport with people. My coach, John Maxwell, actually wrote a book called Many People Communicate, Few People Connect. And this is a great work. It's so true that we're walking through life a lot of times and we believe that we're communicating. And many of us are. There's many ways that you communicate, right? There's verbal ways of communicating and there's nonverbal ways of communicating. But we're not connecting with people. And that leads me to this too. Let me not forget this nugget. A really important thing about an effective therapist is an effective therapist not only hears what you say, but they hear what you don't say. And I'm about to talk about coaching, but let me say this about coaching before I even get started. The same applies to coaching. A good coach, an effective coach, has an ability to hear what you say and what you don't say. And that reminds me of the first time that I actually heard that. It was from one of my coaching clients who said to me, Raquel, you have an ability to hear what I say and what I don't say. And I thought that that was the most profound thing. Not only that, but it goes back to the honor that I feel when anyone chooses me to be their therapist or their coach. There's nothing like it when someone gives you insight into who you are and who you've been for them through that process, through a process that was designed to help them discover their blind spots and to resolve them and to go to the next level. There's nothing greater than that sacred. And that's why I call, therapy for me is a sacred time. When you sit and you share that type of intimacy to talk about a person's goals, their dreams and their visions, to talk about their hurts, what pains them, the pain files that they have. This is so honorable and is so humbling for me. But what is a coach? Coaching is at its core a series of intentional conversations that empower a person to gain clarity and embody their calling. It is the art of influence that underpins leadership in the 21st century. And that quote came from my coach, Paul Martinelli of the John Maxwell team and of the brand new Transformational Leader podcast number 6. So go listen to that. But I'm telling you, Paul Martinelli, he is all of that in a bag of chips. When it comes to coaching and when it comes to mindset, I often say that he really should be teaching therapists. He is so good and I love him. Paul, if you are listening, I love you and I want to have you on The Power Within. Oh my goodness. The coaches on the John Maxwell team are truly awesome. And so I'm glad to be one of them. Toot my own horn. Okay. So a coach challenges you to see something in yourself that maybe you don't see. And guess what? That's another quote. And that's from Rachel Hollis of the Rise podcast, number 79. And let me tell you, Rachel, I'd love to have you too. I'd love to get to know you and just hang out with you, Rachel, because let me tell you, it was a therapy client that led me to you and who also confirmed for me that it was time for me to put my podcast on. I had been working on it behind the scenes. And one day we had a session and this client said to me, Raquel, I've started listening to some more educational and inspirational personal development podcasts. And, I'm older. I'm of the older persuasion. And so I haven't taken well to getting acclimated to podcasting and things that have to do with social media. I really just don't have an affinity for social media, but I see its relevance and I see how it can be used for good. Rachel is one of the first podcasts that I ever listened to. And so let me just pay homage to you. Your podcast is wonderful. So check out Rachel Hollis of the Rise podcast. Now, you may hear the term more often, coaching or mentoring, as if they're the same. But my coach, Paul Martinelli, explains it by stating that mentoring involves a process of putting in and is based on telling. Whereas the process of coaching involves drawing out. You're drawing out answers from within a person, and it's based on asking. So there is a difference. In essence, counseling many times is rooted in a past or future focus that clouds the present. Coaching is intentionally present focused, and mentoring is intentionally future focused. What foundational skills should a great coach possess? Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your world and you will call it fate. So we're looking for a person who's self-aware, who have mastered their mindset, and is skilled in helping others do the same. And so what you'll find is that these really overlap between coaching and therapy. It really does. You have to have an understanding of yourself. I can't help you do anything if I can't understand myself. Okay? And so, of course, we are our worst critic, right? We have internal conflict. And so if I can get to a place where I can manage and master, both manage and master my own internal conflict that really happens on a subconscious level, then I have greater effectiveness in doing that with others because I gain something called discernment. Okay. A person that is an effective coach is also going to have an ability to build rapport and to connect with you. They're also going to be able to be present enough with you to hold a safe space for you. Doesn't this sound like counseling? See, coaching really has the underpinnings or the soft skills of a counselor or of the counseling profession. It's just not it's not a profession that is mandated by law at this time or governed. An effective coach is also a good listener who understands that this is the most important part of the process. They're not advising you or telling you what to do. They allow you to set the agenda. And I know that makes a lot of people comfortable sometimes, but you have to tap into why you began the coaching process to begin with and come in with your list of things that you want to work on and the goals that you have for coaching. One of the most effective things that a coach could do is be a curious person who's not afraid to ask you the questions that flow out of their minds. This helps you to explore the areas that are keeping you stuck. An effective coach also has an ability to ask effective questions about your beliefs and values, because everyone has a belief and value system. And similarly to therapy, it is in the belief and value system that the roots to some of the negative thinking, to some of the other things that may have you stuck are found. And honestly, they are all found in our thinking, all found rooted and grounded in our thinking, which shows up in our beliefs and our values. Now, the major differences between therapy or counseling and coaching is that therapy has been around for a very long time and it's been scientifically proven. There's always research being done on therapy. It's proven to be beneficial. And as a therapist, I can tell you a lot of times, people in the society that we live in want to take medicine so much. But we find, like, even in depression, if you've been diagnosed with depression with medication only has been scientifically proven not to be effective. However, if you add psychotherapy to it, then you will begin to see effectiveness. On the flip side, if you begin therapy without medication, science shows proven effectiveness. So you can start a therapeutic process. And many of my clients come to me because we focus on alternative methods to medicine. So that's one of the specialties that I actually have, is just looking at other ways. Now, therapists do not write medical prescriptions. So another great thing and difference in therapy and coaching is that therapists tend to collaborate with other colleagues. So like your doctor, they may collaborate with them. They get you to sign consent, and then they begin what we call a coordination of care, so that all of the professionals that are working with you at that time can support you. So if it's your primary doctor, then you can sign a consent of release for us to talk to that person. And it just keeps a conversation going and a dialogue that helps increase the potential for your healing in just a well-rounded way. So this is another benefit to therapy. Now, coaching is new, and it does not have mandated requirements. It doesn't have a regulatory board. Now, there is something called the ICF, and you can go look up the ICF as it relates to coaching, and they do have guidelines, but it's still not mandated as in how therapy is, okay? There are many types of therapy as well. There's different modalities. I happen to be a cognitive behavioral therapist with a faith-based foundation, simply because of Romans 8:28 that says, "Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And when a therapist goes to school and is learning to become a therapist, we learn all of these foundational things. And by the time you get out of school, they want to know, what modality do you truly believe in? And I remember as soon as I got out, I wrote my whole paper on CBT and how it related to the Bible. So I just like to say Jesus came up with all of that. So, man want to take credit for everything, but Jesus came up with cognitive behavioral therapy. He said in Romans 8:28, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that acceptable and perfect will of God." So if you don't know that scripture, go and look it up and find you a therapist that will work with you through the belief and the value systems that the healthy ones that you have to help you get to your healing. And so in knowing that many therapists have many modalities that they could use, it's important for you to figure out and interview them and ask them what modality that they use and why, and how it could possibly help you with what you have going on. And the Bible for therapists is called the DSM. And so that also helps therapists in understanding modalities and the different things that they want to go into and how they can help different people. So there's a lot out there, a lot of different modalities or techniques and tools that therapists use to help you get unstuck and, as Valerie Burton says, be unstoppable. Therapists must also earn a master's degree. That's different. They must be licensed by their state and must continually earn education credits yearly. Coaches are not required even to have certification. So woe be it unto you if you don't go and do your due diligence to figure out what certification the coach has that you are choosing to work with. Don't just take a picture. You better know that they have done something to certify themselves as a coach, to qualify as a coach. Don't you want someone who has taken the time to become a master or an expert in that field that they're helping you with? I know I do. So make sure you do your due diligence, okay? All right. Another difference is therapists have legal obligations such as duty to warn, which really is just the fact that we have to inform third parties or authorities if a client poses a threat to himself or herself or another identifiable individual. And that law gets tricky. We're not going to talk about all that. Just know that coaches do not have to do that. Okay. And another difference, and the last one I'm really going to talk about, is we therapists have limits to confidentiality. So the limits to confidentiality are governed by state law, and then we're referred to as a mandated reporter. And a mandated reporter is a person who, because of his or her profession, is legally required to report any suspicion of child or elderly abuse or neglect to a relevant authority. So that's really important to know there, that not just therapists are mandated reporters, but other professionals such as lawyers and doctors. Coaches are not mandated reporters. I pray that all of this was helpful to you. I'm telling you, do your homework. I decided after becoming a therapist and doing years of school and supervision to become a therapist and even a therapist supervisor, I decided to go and get my certification to coach with Valerie Burton initially, and then with the John Maxwell team, because the Bible talks about Jesus, and Jesus is our perfect example, right? And so in that perfect example, he became all things to all people. He became what we need. You ever go to church and you sit and listen, and you can leave church and talk to your sister girlfriend, and she says, wow, pastor was preaching right directly to me today. And when he said this, it truly resonated with me. And then you said, wow, no, I thought he was talking to me today because this truly resonated with me. Well, that's the whole thing about the word. Like, it becomes all things to all people. So you can go and sit in the same environment and hear the thing that you actually need. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to be that person that could, because I already had the therapeutic skills, and not soft therapeutic skills, but really deep therapeutic skills that come from years of applying myself to this field. I wanted to be able to take that and also help people who needed coaching. I wanted to be able to sit down and to share with a person who came to me for therapy what you really are looking for is coaching. And then I was able to expound upon that and to educate them about that. And so I truly pray that today this has been helpful for you. Many therapists sometimes think that they would water down their license to actually become a coach. But I tell you, it's another transformational tool and process that can be used to help a person walk into their greatness. And what an honor it is to support the person on their journey. Oh my goodness. And so when you choose me, I am truly grateful. Remember, the power within you is undeniable. Blessings from your favorite therapist, coach, and sister friend, Raquel. You've been listening to the Power Within podcast with Raquel Reed. For more information on all things Raquel, go to inpoweryou.com. And before you go, don't forget to comment, follow, and share this episode with someone you love.